Hello, Tom Street here again. I'd like to talk to you now about the Beecroft Report and the resulting legislation, that is the Enterprise and Regulatory Reform Bill. You may be aware of the Beecroft Report. It's attracted some controversy. It was a report on employment law commissioned by the Conservative Government and produced by Adrian Beecroft, who is a venture capitalist. And essentially, I think Mr. Beecroft's remit was to suggest changes to employment law, and in order to encourage, I believe, businesses to take on more staff. And there was a concern, a purported concern, that businesses were simply not hiring because of the fear, essentially, that they had of the current employment law. His report has resulted in the Enterprise and Regulatory Reform Bill, pursuant to which a number of changes have been suggested or will be made to employment law. I'm just going to take you through a few of the main changes as I see them. The first change is to rename compromise agreements to settlement agreements. That is very much a cosmetic change. I don't think there's any other changes to the rules which govern compromise agreements. You may be aware that compromise agreements are essentially a way for employers and employees to go separate ways pursuant to mutually agreeable terms, and often the employee receives a payoff, and in return he or she waives their right to take any legal action against the employer. They're very, very commonly used in employment law, but the new regulations essentially simply change the name from compromise agreements to settlement agreements. The second and possibly very significant change will be to make it obligatory to refer any employment dispute to ACAS prior to issuing Employment Tribunal proceedings. The slight problem with this may be that it's overcomplicated. There has been an attempt in the past to introduce extensions to the 3-month time limit for issuing Employment Tribunal proceedings. I understand that the 3-month time limit will be affected by the obligation to refer cases to ACAS. That's been very controversial in the past, and it may well be controversial again, but we wait to see how that works in practice. The second, again, controversial change is to cap the size of the compensatory award in Employment Tribunal claims. We're not sure yet what the limits of that cap will be, but at the moment the cap is, I believe, around about the £68,000–70,000 mark. We're waiting to see what the actual cap will be, but it's going to be controversial because at the moment people who have been unfairly dismissed and have suffered loss and ongoing loss are obviously going to be detrimentally affected by any cap on the amount of money that they can recover in the Employment Tribunal. I suppose the other side to the coin is that there is going to be there will be introduced some penalties to employers who fail to adhere to employees' rights. I suppose that mirrors the current law. There is at the moment one can obtain an uplift in one's compensatory award in the event that your employer hasn't adhered to the ACAS guidelines. So I think there's going to be an introduction of a similar provision within this new bill. There are going to be some changes to the whistleblowing laws to ensure that essentially to enshrine the doctrine that any whistleblowing claim has to, the employee who has blown the whistle has to prove that they have blown the whistle in the public interest. I think it's going to simplify whistleblowing claims, because the current whistleblowing legislation is quite open-ended, and whistleblowing claims are brought in a number of circumstances, but I think the employee is now required to demonstrate that the whistleblowing in question is in the public interest. And finally, there is the overall ongoing attempts on the part of the government to reduce the overall costs of employment tribunal proceedings. They're trying to speed up certain hearings by taking witness statements as read, as opposed to asking the employee to read out, or the party to read out their witness statements, which simply saves time at the actual tribunal itself. And they are reducing the number of judges who are dealing with a number of these claims at first instance and at appeal. And I think the final change is that they are going to be asking legal officers, as opposed to judges, to deal with the more simple types of employment tribunal claim. For example, claims for unpaid wages, wrongful dismissal claims when employees simply haven't been paid notice pay, and unlawful deduction from wages type claims. Those are the main changes, as far as I am aware, of the new law, but it hasn't come in yet, and well, it will be interesting to see how the Enterprise and Regulatory Reform Bill works on the ground and in practice when it comes into force.